All right, let's be real. Too many AV quotes look wildly different for the exact same event. And the natural response is to just compare pricing, or even worse, use the list from last year's event and just hope for the best. But here's the thing, the best vendors aren't just pricing out their gear, they're actually designing for outcomes. And if your scope of work doesn't reflect that, you could be repelling the exact partners that you're hoping to attract. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to shift your scope of work from being a laundry list of line items to something that actually competes on results, clarity, and trust. If you're new to this channel, I'm Caleb from CT Solutions AV, a full-scale premier audiovisual partner for all of your in-person, hybrid, and virtual live events. On this channel, I break down tips, strategies, and frameworks that planners can use to help source and plan for their AV while reclaiming their time to focus on what matters most. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, here's what I see all the time. Planners will send out an RFP or a scope request. That's mostly just a list. We need 4 microphones, 2 confidence monitors, a camera operator, etc. And if you're lucky, they'll tell you what their budget is, which for this example, let's just say it's $25K. Now, on the surface, that sounds clear because you're saying what you want, but it's actually vague because without context, you're going to keep vendors guessing. Are those 4 microphones used by 4 people speaking at once? Or are they going to be used in a panel with transitions? Are those confidence monitors going to be used by speakers on stage, or are they going to be for producers in the backstage? You get my drift. When you lead with budget and gear only without the why, you're not inviting partnership. You're inviting bids based off assumption. And we all know what assumptions make you and me look like. And here's the thing. The best vendors, they don't guess. They're either going to overprice to protect themselves, or they're going to walk away entirely. You'd be surprised how many providers I talk to that say that they don't even deal with RFPs at all anymore. So if your quote requests keep coming back misaligned, unclear, or hard to interpret, the issue might not be with your vendors. More than likely it's with your scope. So the question becomes, how do we address this, right? We have to shift the frame. Let's use our example from earlier. Instead of asking, can we get pricing for this setup? You can ask, what's the best approach to support clear sound for 4 rotating panelists, 2 in person, 2 remote, with live captions and clean transitions between each panel? You see the difference? Now, you're not just buying gear, you're giving context to the show by defining the moments that matter. And this kind of scoping gives vendors a reason to lean in because it lets us know what success looks like, where the pressure points are, and how we can tailor a solution that actually fits. And it lets you compare quotes apples to apples, because now the conversation becomes which vendor can best help you deliver this outcome versus who can rent a projector cheaper. And you go from having to decipher which gear means what to vendors actually explaining how their solution is specifically designed for your event. So what does a clear, value-driven scope actually look like? Well, I'm going to give you a simple 5-part structure that we coach our clients to use when we work with them. The first part of this structure is identifying key moments that must land. I want you to think about your event and think of the parts that absolutely cannot fall flat. An example could be an opening keynote, a fundraising ask, a remote speaker Q&A. Think of the moments that you absolutely need to go right and make sure that they know before they even design your solution, so that way they have it top of mind the same way you do. The second part of the structure is going to be audience format. Who is this event for? Who's going to be in the room? If it's a hybrid event, who's going to be online? What parts of this event need to feel cohesive for both audiences? Because a vendor that truly cares about your event is going to make sure that they design a solution that not only makes your event successful, but also aligns with your audience. Let's take an example and look at something like a sustainability fundraiser campaign, right? Maybe instead of using a standard lighting setup, we opt for energy efficient lighting. Then that can be spoken to during the actual campaign. And not only does it strengthen the campaign, but you also went with a vendor that aligned with the values of your target audience. The third part of the structure is going to be success criteria. What does smooth look like to you when it comes to working with your AV vendor? Does it mean crystal clear sound, no tech hiccups, a relaxed speaker team? Now, these things may sound like common sense, but putting it in your scope allows for your AV vendor to implement contingency plans within their solution. things like backup equipment, speaker rehearsals, a point of contact for speakers in case you're not in the room or somebody on your team isn't in the room. These kinds of things allow the vendor to go below the surface of just providing the technical solution with the equipment and actually plan for what it's going to look like the day of. Because as we know, in the live events industry, something can and will go wrong at any given moment. The fourth part of the structure is going to be constraints and realities. What does the reality of your event look like? Are you locked into a venue that has low ceilings or bad internet? Are there union rules or a tight load-in schedule? These are things that you need to make sure that you're putting into your scope so that way they can be aware of it and design a solution for that particular space. Now, ideally, a good AV vendor will be able to give you that best approach on how to navigate these types of situations if you rope them in early before you've made a decision or even right after. But let's say you have to rope in a vendor later on down the line. You need to make sure that they're aware of these things when it comes to the solution that they're going to be designing for the venue that you're in. The fifth part of the structure is going to be budget guardrails, not just a number. Instead of you saying our budget is 40K, you can say something like, we're targeting 40K, but need to prioritize main stage impact instead of breakout recordings. It's also important to understand what type of budget do you have. Is this 40K all in, including costs from the venue like Wi-Fi, power, any union fees that you might need to pay? Or is this budget strictly for your audio-visual solution? These are the things that you need to be aware of, for one, so that way you don't overspend. Also, so that way you can allow these vendors to know what budgets that they have to work within. This can also open up an opportunity for a vendor to come to you with a tiered solution where they're showing things almost on a good, better, best type of model to see where there might be some wiggle room within your budget and what actually hits your budget and then what's just a little bit above. So that way you know where you can kind of move and what those solutions prioritize within each tier. And look, this structure isn't about writing a novel. It's about framing your needs like a leader, because the good vendors that are interested in building partnerships, they'll meet you there. Now, when you scope this way, something shifts. Your AV team goes from reacting to collaborating, and you stop crossing your fingers for a good quote because you're getting options that are tied to outcomes. And trust gets built faster because the entire conversation starts with alignment instead of assumptions. Now, if you want to stick to the same copy and paste approach that you've been using, just be prepared to continue getting lists of gear you know nothing about and hoping that it actually matches what you need for your show. I mean, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it breaks, just pray it's not on the show day. And all jokes aside, I know it can feel overwhelming trying to explain the technical requirements of your event as a planner. But here's the thing, you don't need to be techie to do this. You just need a clear frame, and that's exactly what we've built for you. If you want a head start on designing better AV scopes, I've put together a free checklist called the AV Outcome Scoping Guide. It walks you through the exact questions I ask clients before we ever even quote a show. It's built for planners, not technicians. And it'll save you weeks of back and forth while helping you attract better partners from the start. You can grab it in the description down below. And if you found this helpful, share it with a planner who's tired of surprise fees and unclear quotes. Because when you design for outcomes, you can build with clarity. I'm Caleb from CT Solutions AV, and I'll catch you on the next one.